today?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you. Thanks. Really nice to see you guys again.
So without much ado, I want to welcome Camilla Nontra.
Yay!
Oh my goodness. I should come to you every day when I'm feeling when I need
Correct. This is Sudan.
Wow.
Sudan. Believe it or not, Sudan has more pyramids than Egypt.
Interesting.
Begin to think in a Pan-African way, because they now see that their conditions are not just about that local space, but the condition is linked to all of the other.
What's going on, everybody? As always, this is your boy Jesse McCoy. I am here and joined now with my illustrious co-host Fred Nantra. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well. So today, you all, we're going to have another special guest. We're trying to work her in soon. Yeah. You've seen her before. You've seen her on TikTok, making TikTok go viral and crazy in every way. And we've had her on the show a couple weeks ago and got a lot of good feedback from you guys. So we said, if it's so good, we need to just bring her back and do it once again. But before we get started with the show, I want to turn it over to Fred so we can have our official welcome into the show.
Well, welcome everybody. Good morning from California. Good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. Good evening if you're on the other side of the world. Welcome to the Pan-Africana Show. I'm Fred. My name is Fred Nontra. And we thank God for this morning. By him we live, we move, and have our being. Well, we have another packed show for us. So get yourself a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, or get yourself some ice cream, sit back and gain this knowledge and see the passion from our host. We'll be patchy here in shortly. But before that, is there anything that you're burning on, Jesse, this week? Anything that
I just finished watching the Judas and Black Messiah movie about Fred Hampton and William O'Neill. Very good movie. If I had the power to nominate something for an Oscar, I would nominate this movie for an Oscar. I think Lakeith Stanfield does a great job playing Bill O'Neill, and I think Daniel Kaluuya he's phenomenal in everything that he's in. He does an excellent job playing Fred Hampton. So shout out to them. And I think it's produced by Ryan Coogler too, so he's always awesome. So shout out to all three of them, everybody, the cast, characters. Great snapshot into American history, particularly Black American history as it relates to the Black Panthers and Fred Hampton. So if you haven't checked it out yet, make sure you check it out. I saw it on HBO Max. If you are still going to theaters, if that's your thing during COVID, hey, it's in the theater.
Let's see. Wow. Well, again, we have our guest today. Her name is Yolanda Glover. She's a Pan-African enthusiast. She's been on the show before, but we just scratched the surface the first time, so we figured we'd do it again. So without much ado, let's welcome Yolanda Glover.
Hi. How are you?
How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Doing
tired, but
well.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, sorry for the little glitch.
No, don't worry. That happens with technical stuff all the time.
Yeah.
So you always have a bit of a. How are you doing, Jesse?
I am, you know what? Now that I see you, I am phenomenal. Everything is great. I am ready to receive your message. My heart is open. My mind is open, and I am ready to experience the power that is Yolanda.
Why do you make me sound like a hurricane or something that you just
because you are a force. You are, and I feel like the more that this is gonna sound crazy. I apologize. I watch your TikTok videos religiously. Okay, I probably can memorize like half at this point.
Did you see the latest one about racism?
They're all about racism. Like I love all of them. Like I think there was let me give you the backstory for those who didn't see her when she was on the show last time. If you have a TikTok account, make sure that you follow her. That girl Yoli. Make sure you follow her. And just listen, she has a combination of posts that will be both hilarious, both educational. She has stuff that's just inspirational. I tuned in yesterday hoping I was going to get my African Music Friday.
Yeah. I couldn't do it. I had like stuff to do, like work stuff to do. So yeah, understood. I couldn't. But I have a new playlist, so that would be great when I do play it.
So it's at that girl Yoli. Okay, that's it right there. At that girl.
That's all my social media. Well, I just have that
There's
at the moment.
Underscore. There's no underscore.
That's the TikTok one. The TikTok doesn't have an underscore, but the Instagram does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So,
how are we doing? Everybody good?
Well. So, could you introduce yourself for those who were not here the last time? Yourself to
I'm Yolanda Glover. I'm from Durban, South Africa. I'm a Pan-Africanist. Always have been. Always will be. I spread knowledge. I spread truth. I spread light for our people. And yeah, if I had one purpose in life, it's to be a bridge for the diaspora, and I think that's what I'm doing currently. So
what got you started on your journey towards Pan-Africanism?
I was introduced to the concept while I was still 18 in high school. All the way through to university. Just the principles of it, like I said last week, the principles of it, or the week before last, the principles of Pan-Africanism that painted, Africans in the light of not victim, but powerful. That's what got me interested. And the pursuit of knowledge is the purpose of life. And so I continue to pursue knowledge. Oh, that's a really good quote.
Yeah. I was about to put that up.
Oh my God. The pursuit of knowledge is the purpose of life. Somebody quote me.
Yes.
That's what it is. I think that's what got me started in it. The more I read, the more I became in tune with those principles of unity, of intellect over ignorance, of a nature of accepting your pigment as powerful, as opposed to it being a crippling factor. It's actually the best way to be. So that's what got me started in it, and just like I said the other time as well, it's to live this principle daily, in your daily life, and apply those principles on a regular basis. That means always engaging with your people. That means always listening and learning. That means just being at the pinnacle, at the forefront of experiencing us as a unified unit, so we can push that driving force forward. And that's what it is. That's what it is. I happen to be in a generation that doesn't appreciate intellect, unfortunately, unless we're doing this the whole time. But I hope to inspire with my voice. I hope to inspire people to attain that knowledge and to realize exactly what's going on in the world and be aware of it. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you this. So, I told you when you came on last time, my introduction to TikTok was kind of coming in the midst of the, I guess, Africa versus African Americans, thing, the young people that really was depressing. It looks like we've repaired that bridge, but then, much like any other dam that you construct to stop the water, there's a hole somewhere else. So now, I guess as of last week, I'm seeing that the new thing, I guess the new method of dividing us, and I don't know why people aren't getting that. this is infused into our culture, for the purpose of this division. But now it seems like there's this push. I know people were talking about food and different folks like reaction to different people's food. Right. Now we've got people talking about, there was a guy who had like a shocked expression about knowing that people in Africa have like real houses, and then there were people who were like, oh well, black people aren't in jail, you know, like it's just a lot of stuff going on, and it seems like every week when you log in, when we finally get unity, here comes another thing.
Yeah.
So do you think that this has anything to do with TikTok algorithms? Do you think they see us coming together and they're like, oh,
I was just about to mention that anytime a pigmented people start to do this, there will always be a resistance towards it. Always. And that resistance, when we understand where it comes from, what is my laptop doing? Sorry, guys. It was updating earlier. Can you see me or have I just appeared?
Yeah, you can see you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what has happened is anytime we construct a narrative to unify, there will always be opposition to it, because when we understand how powerful we'll be as a people when we unify, that's going to be a major threat to our oppressors. So obviously we're going to be met with resistance. And the easiest way to push forward resistance is miscommunication and stereotypes. All right. So that's what a platform like TikTok has highlighted. Unfortunately, that's what the platform has highlighted, because that platform gives people a voice. And when you have a voice, you can speak. Sometimes you can speak ignorantly. Sometimes you can speak disrespectfully. And now what's happening now is those closet conversations that you would have are now being brought to light, and people can then see it. They can now see what you're thinking, and then that's what's bringing up the divide. Now, it's funny you speak about that it was called the Fufu Challenge, where it was now trending somehow for a person to now eat, local cuisine. And I made a video on it in which I used the exact same analogy. And this was to a Westerner who wanted to fight me on that topic. And I said, if an Italian makes you a pizza, the pizza is a very pinnacle part of Italian culture and Italian cuisine. If you spit the pizza in the Italian's face, they will react with aggression. It's the same thing. And unfortunately, well, not even unfortunately, we've got a Nigerian collective, and the Nigerian collective doesn't play about their culture.
Absolutely.
Doesn't play about what they believe in. And so if you're going to come to a culture and show disrespect towards it, you will be met with disrespect as well. We are as a people are very prideful from all our tribes, because our culture is our essence. So if you come around and you have that discord, it's going to cause a problem. So I've spoken that in that video about the need for mutual respect. That's all it is. It's a need for mutual respect. The same way, if I'm going to try chitlings and I might not like it, I'm not going to say, ew, chitlings suck.
I would. Chitlings suck.
Okay, it's funny because what you have as chitlings, in America, we have the same thing in South Africa called mugodu and usu. So the whole thing is all constructed. The narrative of division is a constructed narrative. We know who controls the narrative. We know who pushes forward the algorithm. We know the TikTok algorithm is based on where the most controversy can come from. That's what any media platform is about. And so our voices have to be just as loud, which is what we're doing. The battle is commencing. It's happening in that world. And for every one of those videos that you see, you'll see a video just like mine. It's always going to be back and forth until this happens. And that's where we're getting to. That beautiful synergy is on its way. Nothing can stop it. It's happening. So even when you do see those videos, don't be discouraged by that, because that's what's happening at the ground level is beautiful, and then it cannot be stopped. It's a force that cannot be stopped. Regardless of what is being said, we will break down every stereotype one at a time. I even remember I did a live the day before yesterday, and I said, today I'm going to just debunk myths. That's all I'm doing on this live. And so I went into my car, not into my camel. I went into my car and I drove to a mall, and I let everybody see the mall. I went into the mall. I went into a Starbucks. I bought a coffee. I had them speak to the waiter, and everybody was like, oh my gosh. I said, you know why you're saying, oh my gosh? Because you don't know. You don't know. That's the only reason why you have stereotypes. So it takes somebody to show you, and then you'll start to see different. And anybody could do that. Any African could do that. Even in West Africa, somebody could do that. Even in the eastern part of Africa. It's just all a beautifully constructed lie, Jesse, that happens to be dividing the people. It's not working. it's really not. It's not working. We're doing the opposite. And I can see a lot happening on the algorithm, changing it. And you know how I can see? Every single time when I'm on TikTok and I can be scrolling through posts and I see people on my feed on other people's videos saying, that's not true. That's not what is happening. And that's when I can see, the mood is shifting here. The motion is going forward. And so I'm not discouraged by that anymore because I can see that the work is being done. We're getting something.
Absolutely. Well, I'll just say, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Michael, just saying that was Michael. He added a little spice. He said the pursuit of knowledge and its application to our day-to-day activities.
Amen. Thank you very much.
Overall betterment of humanity is the essence of life.
There we go. Thank you.
Shout out to Michael in Nigeria. So one of the things that I've always appreciated about the post, I mean, you get shared a lot. People, I don't know if it's duetting, stitching, all the things you can do.
They do.
But people share your posts a lot, and it's great to see your face on like other people's posts all around. That is very powerful to me.
They've given it a hashtag now, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have a hashtag, and it's called the Yoli effect. And so that's
really.
I'm starting to see people hashtagging the Yoli effect. I'm like, wait, hey, that's me. And it's always on posts that are knowledgeable. And I saw that hashtag on a Brazilian guy, a Black diasporic Brazilian, who was speaking about the area of Bahia in Brazil.
Yes,
which is
I follow him too. Yes.
And I said, wow, look at that. And that's all the way in Brazil, guys. It just shows the work speaks for itself. What we're doing, it speaks for itself in that world, in that realm, in that particular platform. We clearly have dominated it, and so what else can we do? What's next? That's the next thing. Give us something else to do now because we're clearly going ahead.
And Yolanda has a small militia of people who defend her. So whenever the racist people do come in and comment, or whenever somebody want to comment sideways, there's a whole team of us.
They just come from all angles. I don't have to do anything anymore. This is great because there was a time where I used to have to defend that ignorance every single day, and it was so draining. Because, like I say, Jesse, half the people that troll on this social media would never do it in real life. They would never have the intellect to debate with you in real life. So they hide behind their keyboards and they become keyboard warriors. And then they start to spit their genetic mutation of nonsense. And so, now it's just, wow. What's the best thing is that people that have listened to me are now able to quote fact. And that's the best thing. They're able to quote fact. They say, I heard this. This is the reference. I saw this here. You're talking absolute poppycock. And that's all you need. If you're going to defend yourself, the best defense you have is intellect. That's it. Then nobody can come at you, So the battles are really funny. I'd have to do less work now. There's an army.
Absolutely. Well, I also know since your appearance on our show last time, interest in Durban, South Africa has skyrocketed exponentially.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if it's just because I guess the other internet algorithms and me searching. But now I'm getting advertisements. So.
You're gonna be a Durban tourist, but you're just gonna help us there, get our tourism up.
Yes. I am waiting for outside to open up, and it is definitely on my list. As a matter of fact, I think it has moved up significantly on my list. So.
You guys can't travel out yet in America?
So it's complicated, right? Like it's complicated. Like you can do, well, first off, the states aren't collectively unified on what you can and can't do. So some states are still shut down. Some states are still open and some states are still halfway. The problem we're having specifically in my state is we just had a news report last night that the more dangerous strand of COVID-19 that you were finding in South Africa has apparently appeared in North Carolina.
That's because we've traveled and we're the ones that are spreading the
Well, thank you. You know, so we were getting ready to open up, and now it looks like we're gonna be I don't know if we're gonna shut down completely or if they're just giving us notice for advisory or whatever, but we are in this kind of staggered position that we've opened up airports and things, but flying out, it really depends because each country has designated different rules about who can come in or what criteria you have to come in. So, you know, if you were somebody who has been, you know, vaccinated, you might have a different set of rules than somebody who is, you know, traveling and just has to get the tests both here and there. And then there are some places they're just like, no, they're still mad because Trump, which I understand. So they're like, okay, no, you just can't be here. So, you know, it's cool. I'm waiting for all of that to pass, and
it will pass. It will pass.
Yeah, absolutely.
It will. So it will get to a point where we're all. It's not going to be normal, but we will acclimatize ourselves to the new normal. Like it will become normal to get a COVID test before you travel. It will get normal. You know, those protocols will become standard. So hang in there. We're sorry.
No, it's all good. I'm gonna be there. It gives me plenty of time to try to work and stack up a little bit of money because I know I'm gonna need it to get around. Yeah.
I mean, you don't need as much as you think you do. In all honesty,
exactly. I keep telling him.
You've got to remember your currency triples. Your currency triples in our country. So, you don't need as much as you think you do, Jess.
Okay. Well, I'm coming. We'll see.
We don't know who that is. I think they're coming from Afriscope. Yeah, usually you can come through Afriscope. That's what happens. It's hello. Can you identify yourself, please? Okay. Hello.
What that's her real name? What if her name is Facebook user?
Facebook user. You never know. Your parents.
Yeah, so the person might come. So Yolanda, so what's some of the writers who influenced you? Because for me, like there are people like Samora Machel, Nkrumah, Amika Cabral, or who are the ones who might have
Farrakhan.
Who is it? Farrakhan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think I'd quote him as my favorite. There's so many, Fred.
Because the last time you did say Malcolm.
Winners of Pardon? I'll tell you what I'm reading right now. I'll tell you what I'm reading right now. Wait, where is it? I'm reading something. Can I get it? Are we allowed to do that here?
Sure.
Yeah, we promote education.
Actually, I'm reading a book by Archbishop Desmond Tutu at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow.
Yes. Who was a Pan-Africanist, but who was also a Christian. And so there was a lot of discourse between following a Western religion and then being Pan-African as well. And he was able to synthesize that so beautifully in talking about the omnipotence of God as an omnipotent being. And then the book highlights just the differences between a Western consciousness and an African consciousness. It highlights, and I've done videos on it before in a funny way to activate the brains of those that are, not ready to acclimatize to that. But at the crux of it, he speaks about the need for a Western mindset to be extremely individualistic. See, people in the West have an individualistic mindset. I have to do this. I have to achieve that. I'm going to achieve the American dream by doing this, and then I will do that, etc., etc. And then you've got the African mindset. We're a collectivist society. The mindset of an African is a collective one. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's easy for Africans to always get the notion of Pan-Africanism quickly, because we grew up in a society that encouraged collectivization. Now, that doesn't mean that we all have to be sheep and follow a way of thinking. It means that we understand the betterment of a group. We understand that as a group, you come with this and you come with that and you come with that, and then we can build a machine that's stronger, as opposed to the West, which says, I only know this and this and this and this and this, and then I'm going to do that. Mm-hmm. That's why all the time when I argue with Westerners, it's always this. They're unable to see the difference in discourses from all other people. They're unable to. They're very focused on, I believe this, I've read that. That's what it is. Whereas you get an African who can synthesize, this is what that is, and this is what that is, and this is what, you know why? Because we're also diasporic in our location. You've got someone in America, you've got someone in Brazil, you've got someone in Cuba, you've got someone in Ghana. All are of the Black diaspora, and all can teach each other. And so that unification comes from that. It comes from understanding the notion of, as a unit, it's easier to propel something forward. And so that was what I read a couple of weeks ago from that book that I read, and I thought it was, we already knew this, but it was nice to validate that.
Okay, Facebook user, please identify yourself. So the collectiveness also can hinder us from putting ourselves first.
No, but that's not a hindrance. That's not a hindrance. You see, here we go. Let me get into it.
Let's go.
Right. When you're a collective, you understand the strength and weaknesses of the unit. Not at any point are you distancing yourself or not putting yourself first. You're coming and saying, this is what I bring to the table. What do you bring to the table? What do you bring to the table? It then becomes a unified machine. And that's what's necessary for motion change. If you want to exist as an individual, you will achieve nothing. Especially not as a Pan-Africanist. You will achieve nothing and with an individualistic mindset. When you're a collective, it doesn't mean that you let go of your individuality. It means that you add to your individuality by hearing from those around you, from those that are pigmented as you are. Mm-hmm. And hearing from them means you learn from them. There's things I can learn from Fred. There's things I can learn from Jesse. It doesn't make me less Yolanda. It doesn't make me not able to put myself first. It makes me realize I am part of a bigger unit. And a bigger unit can propel motion forward. Simple physics, a movement, a force, forward, physics, easy. That's what I say in response to that.
This is knowledge. So let me approach from the Western perspective, and I can tell you kind of why people are like this. Okay, in America, literally, it's like as soon as you're born, you're part of the hustle, right? It's like somebody's taking your money as soon as you're born. There's the collective sense that we have has been something that has been developed and largely is in Black culture, right? It's in the Black community where we don't have access to the same resources that white people do. So as a result, people in that zip code or in that block work together. And what happened is in America, whenever we have this cohesion as a community, then there's something done by the government to disrupt it. Absolutely. So I grew up in the 80s, and this was like when crack really was the big thing. And they used a drug to destroy an entire neighborhood and an entire system to the point where folks got to a point where they were just trying to eat, right? So if you're just trying to eat and you're like, I don't care about my neighbor, I don't care about their kids, I don't care about that old lady down the street, I got to get mine, right? And America loves that. Like America pumps that. We want the rags to riches guy that we can sit back and say, this is how you do it. We love the Jay-Z's, right? Like that's what America pumps. But what happens is a lot of people fail in the quest to become that individual Jay-Z. Like for every Jay-Z, there's 10,000 people who didn't make it, right? So what happens is at some point you have to be a collective. The problem here is that people fail to acknowledge the help that they get along the way as part of that collective. So even though we can all say, I stand on the shoulders of giants who are able to dismantle systems that are far more oppressive than anything I'm dealing with right now, a lot of folks don't want to accept that. They want to accept that it was me. I'm special. I did this. I overcame. And when you divide yourself from the bigger culture, it actually weakens you because now you're out there with the hyenas that are able to say, you know what, since you so great, come out here in our game, play our sport, and they abuse you and take advantage of you, and you have no protection. You have nobody to help you, but the money that you get, that's all that you have to show for it. So I think it is a narrative that everybody needs to understand. Whether you want to be part of a Black collective or not, you are part of a Black collective. Like, period.
I was just about to say, you can't help it. You there already. It's whether you acknowledge it or not.
Absolutely.
I don't know. It's so problematic when I hear you speak of that discourse. It makes me go eek, as if the Jay-Z's of the world did it by themselves. Yep. The Beyoncés of the world did it by, but how? That's not true.
Exactly.
That's not true. So the image that they're selling is a false one. You're okay. No, I'm sorry. Just to, and I think they do it on purpose. We know the powers that be do that on purpose, because the easiest way to divide a people is to, the easiest way to conquer a people is to divide them. They've been doing that for centuries, decades before our time, and so that's the easy. We have to reconstruct the narrative, and that's why when I see and I've seen this a lot in the West, especially in America, in Black America specifically, I see these hashtags of Black excellence, and I see such a strong driving force of that, where it's. Look at us. It's become more of a look at us. Look what we're doing. That's what I started to notice on social media happening within Black culture over there. So I think some are wakening up to that. I think some are realizing the power of the collective. I think it's starting to penetrate. It's just I don't understand how anybody could not get that it's as a unit you're stronger. It's a simple concept.
Yeah, I mean they've mastered these processes of division throughout slavery, throughout Reconstruction, throughout Jim Crow, like everything, pitting people against each other, and so it's something that I think has become ingrained. I think the Black excellence hashtags. First off, I think it took people who were considered bold because they were able to say that they root for everybody Black, people like Issa Rae and folks like that. Like they got flack when they came out and made those statements, because in America there's also a narrative that if you are Black, you are somehow unworthy. So you don't deserve to be in this boardroom. You don't deserve to be on this team or whatever. And what we've been proving over and over, really since inception, is it doesn't matter what obstacles that you put against us, we're still going to rise to the top. Cream always rises to the top. What I'm proud about, and the reason why, like, I'm big on Pan-Africanism, is because I am inspired by people who came before me and did things that I feel like are majestic. And I feel like all of this stuff, it didn't start with me. So I can't go out and think, even if the job I work is grueling and I have to deal with a lot of depression, a lot of issues of people who are dealing in way worse situations than what I'm in, I'm able to advocate for them more effectively because I know that there were Thurgood Marshalls before me. There were people before me in all realms of the world who were able to topple all kinds of oppressive regimes. And because of that, I know that there's some part of them that is in me. So I love it. And I feel like the more you learn, the more you are able to empower yourself and motivate yourself to make substantial change in the little area or corner of the world you're at. And hopefully you get an opportunity to cross over now and meet people in different struggles and meet people who are doing using different approaches and learning skills, just like you said, building your collective and expanding your horizons so that you can get more techniques and improve yourself.
Absolutely. But how many Americans have that mindset that you just described of wanting to pursue that connection? Because I could argue I've come across a very large majority of African Americans who just don't want to pursue the knowledge, and who are resistant to that knowledge. And you speaking so openly about it, I challenge you and I say, how many are like you in your realm? How many are at the pinnacle of wanting to dispel their ignorance? Because what has happened is, because of the lack of information that has been given to the Black American community about Africa, about Pan-Africanism, how many are willing to actually pursue the knowledge? That's my question. And the question number 2 that I'd ask you is, it appears, and I've noticed whilst engaging with many an African American, and sometimes even I get frustrated, I have to be honest. I get completely frustrated sometimes when I engage with people from the Americas, just the lack of knowing and the lack of wanting to know is my first step. Mm-hmm. That's where I struggle the most. Why is it that we're not pursuing that knowledge? Why is that not burning in your system? Like, but it burns for you to go and, know everything about a celebrity, know everything about what's happening on Instagram or whoever else. There's no burn for that entitled knowledge. But there's a need for, oh, Yolanda, teach me this. Oh, Yolanda, do that. Oh, Yolanda, I want to. Where's the initiative? That's what I ask to you, Jesse, in America. What happened to the initiative? I'm not seeing enough of it where I'm standing.
Okay. Well, good question. So I think the answer to the first question is I think there are a lot more of us than would showcase on TikTok, right? So I'm fairly new to TikTok, and I'm still learning, and it's sad because you see so many young people on TikTok and they don't understand what's going on. But I think people in my age group know a lot more and want to have those connections and are invested in traveling to Africa, and they are trying to build on a much global scale, but they may not necessarily be on social media or whatever the case may be. I also think the other part of that, and you're probably not going to like it, but in America for Black people, learning about who you are is horrific, right? Because a lot of us got killed. Like a lot of us got killed, right? And it's learning the fact that you live in a country that cares so little about you that even to learn about the people who came before you who got killed used to be a crime, right? So we're in a position now where we're free to be able to go on Rihanna's internet and search whatever we want to search and find out. Right. But people know in the back of their mind, if I look, you're going to come across postcards of white people laughing while a Black dude is hanging from a tree and on fire. You're going to come across that. And not everybody is ready to deal with the trauma that brings, right? For me, I've always felt like it's my responsibility. I have to get through that so I can reconnect and understand what's the bigger picture. But for other people, as soon as they see that, that's it. I'd rather look at a celebrity half naked and be rich, right? Like, and live the good life and never have to realize it. And I think the flaw in that is your kids aren't going to get exposed to the things they need to protect themselves, because as much as we want to believe American society has progressed, we see reminders with Breonna Taylor. We see reminders with Alton Sterling. We see reminders with George Floyd. It hasn't changed that much.
No, it hasn't.
Because we don't have an explanation for our kids to be able to say why things are the way they are, what people would rather do is build up your kids to believe in some false notion of what the country is and what opportunities may lie out there, and pray that they never get involved in any of these situations. Pray that an officer never stops them. Pray that their tail lights never get broken on their car so that they don't have to have the interaction. And I think it's so difficult for a lot of Americans to deal with just the American part of it. We haven't even begun to talk about the tragedies they're carried out in the colonization, quote unquote, of Africa. Like, that's even more tragedy that you're adding on to Middle Passages, and that you adding on to slavery, and that you adding on to civil. And the other thing is, I think in America, there's this push to want everybody to be on the same page, knowing that page is unequal, right? So there's a push for people to have white friends and, friends everywhere, which is cool. That's fine. But I don't know that a white ally is ever really going to understand the struggle of Black people. And I think that if it ever becomes convenient for that white ally to distance themselves and not have to deal with the struggle of Black people, they have an out, right? You can always go home, take a shower, shave, and you're white, right? The Black person has to wake up the next morning and deal not just with what might happen, but the ramifications of all the things that have already happened. And I just think for a lot of people, it's that's the way they check out. They just say, you know what? I don't want to know. I don't have to know. And the problem is when you don't know and you don't challenge yourself, you won't research to find out what's going on. So that's why people are shocked. TikTok puts it in your face. You get people like, ever since I found out my mom has 45% Nigerian ancestry, I have liked every post from anybody from Nigeria because I just want to see.
As you should.
I just want to see what it's like. And when you look at these places and you see like the level of advancement, the level of society, like even things that you all have that we don't. Like when I think about tribes, right? We don't necessarily have tribes here. Like people identify by their block, right? But you don't necessarily identify by what you are, who you are, the history, the lineage that you come from, because you don't know.
Stolen from you. You had that stolen from you, and you all were placed in one boat from all different cultures and placed in the Americas. So of course you don't even have a concept of what a tribe is.
Absolutely.
And I hear what you're saying. It's a lot of it is very mental. A lot of it, it sounds to me like a mental battle. And I can highlight parallels in between what you're saying to exactly what South Africa went through. We went through a segregated past as well. We had apartheid for years and years and years. And a lot of what the system of oppression does is strip away your identity. That's the first step into oppressing a people. You make them forget about who they are by dehumanizing them, by making them, worse than animals, by branding them, etc., according to your standards, putting them in your boxes, etc. Once you strip the person of their identity, you can easily oppress them because they don't have pride anymore.
Absolutely.
And so what we're trying to do here is instill that pride in you. I remember doing a very emotional live where I said, I'm giving you your culture back. I'm telling you that it's now yours. Everything that was stolen from you, I'm giving it back to you. You have the power now. And that victim mentality is no more. It's no more. That is a trick by the system of oppression that is set on your mind to cripple you. And so you've got to get up from under it. You've got to get up from under it. It's not something that I can do for you. It's not something that I can make as many videos and have as many lives and have as many. You've got to get up from under the grip of oppression, the same way our parents had to do it here in South Africa, the same way that they had to let go of what the apartheid regime labeled them as, a felon, a crook, a nobody. They had to rise from that and become the lawyer, the doctor, the nurse, etc. They had to make that choice the same way that you've got to make that choice in the Americas, because the knowledge is now available to you. There's people that are available now. And so we can no longer allow our people to have a victim mentality. It can no longer happen. We've got to do the work. You've got to do the work. And it's as hard as it is, the empowerment that comes from the backside of doing that work is more than you can ever imagine. It's more than you will ever imagine. It's more fulfilling than any job that you can do or any amount of money you can get. Knowing who you are is the most amazing gift on this earth.
Absolutely.
And so you've got to rise. You've got to rise. There's nothing else.
I agree.
All right. We have a few comments I wanted to go through. So Nicole Cotton.
Nicole. Yeah, it's a friend of mine.
Okay.
What's up, Nicole?
And Kechi was one of the Facebook users. I don't think.
Kechi.
And then it says, "I love Black excellence hashtags."
Absolutely
beautiful to see. It's beautiful to see that.
Yeah, and then I don't know whether it was Kechi or someone who can't generalize. I don't think we're generalizing. Yolanda was generalizing. She was just talking about the fact that no one can build by themselves. It takes a collective group. Then Pooh from Periscope says, "I want to travel, but it just don't seem safe." Could you be specific? Safe as in because of the pandemic, or safe as in you think when you go over to Africa, you're not going to be safe? So can you please be specific? And he says it's so hard, as in what you're just speaking about.
Yeah, it's difficult. Of course, it's hard. You're dealing with 500 years of oppression. Absolutely. You're not going to undo it in a day.
Okay, it's Van Jaffet says on that ancestor.com note, apparently Lil Wayne has Nigerian background. And then Pooh is trying to pay attention, phone lagging. Okay, thanks for joining us, Pooh.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
You.
Yeah. Well, I think the one thing, if we can't take anything else away from this, I think what we do need to appreciate is that just because it's hard doesn't mean it's unnecessary, right?
Yeah.
So we still need to do the information and the knowledge. I also want people, particularly those people in the West who might be listening, I also want us to understand too that there is a certain degree of skill set that you are able to learn because of the way that America is structured. And I think it's a gift, and it's something that we are able to share on a global scale for people to understand, because this capitalist, I don't know if there's any place that has bloodied capitalism to the point where America has in just a short amount of time that it's been active here. And all of this is based on Black bodies, Black contributions, Black art, Black skill sets, everything.
I mean, even in this month, during this Black History Month, the knowledge that's coming forth from people in the Americas, the diaspora in the Americas, that have highlighted all the people that have invented stuff that I didn't know Black people had even invented, and that's what it's all about. And it shouldn't just be done in a month. We're Black every month.
Absolutely.
And it should just be something that should be a norm, like that knowledge should be a norm, and that's what I love. That's what I love seeing right now. That's what I'm seeing is just more coming from the diaspora. That's empowering. It's a lot more empowerment happening now, and that's all we've ever needed, because that's how we begin to recreate our identity. It's all about changing the narrative. It's all about reconstructing a narrative of 500 years, and it's not easy. It takes a commitment every single day. That's what we're committing to when we say we're Pan-Africanist. We're committing to that. We're committing to exactly that, to keeping the knowledge alive, to leading forth with love, to showing tolerance, to showing patience, and to showing resilience. That's in the DNA of a Black person, is resilience at the pinnacle of who we are as a people, because of our past, because of our oppression. And that's something we can thank the colonizer for. You made us only more resilient. You gave us that strength. And so we have it. We possess it in bucket loads. It's just a matter of directing it in a way that will service us as a collective.
Well, Van Jeffers came up with a loaded comment. It says, do you all think that the oppressor is just simply but dangerously insecure?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
The oppressor has a list of mental disorders, narcissism being the first one. Okay, they're not only dangerously insecure. You see, they've even come to the point where they want to colonize the oppression. They've come to the point where they've made up this myth of reverse racism and fragility, and now I am racist and you are oppressing me. I beg. Now you want to colonize the word oppression. Now you want to be more oppressed than the oppressed. Hey, if that is not mental disorder, I don't know what is.
I couldn't agree more. I think that the saddest part of this whole situation to me is the fact that they never acknowledge, at least here, I don't know if they do over there. I would guess they don't, though. They never acknowledge the detriment that they caused, right? I think even as a country, the United States could be so much further along if all people did was go back and say, you know what, we did this dirt and we continue to do this dirt, and we want to change the corner and do something else. But the race is the currency here. Like, race is currency. So they're never going to give up the currency that keeps them in power.
Absolutely.
If they can maintain it and bring it back every few years. So I think, yes, that's all based on insecurity. I think it's all based on ignorance. I think it's one of those things where, like, denial. So you want to. I've always felt like people who are racist always really want to be part of our culture. Like they secretly watch us and they want to do everything we do and they want to be.
Absolutely.
But they feel like they're going to be accepted because they know what they've done to us. They feel like they're going to be rejected. So they impose upon you fictitious beliefs to diminish how awesome that they know that you are, right?
Yes, exactly. I just want to highlight something so interesting, just another parallel between what happened in America and it being exactly the same as what happened in South Africa with the segregation. And I want to show you how we managed to transcend that. I don't know if you know about the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa. And that was a system that was brought forth by Desmond Tutu, acknowledging the fact that the white oppressor needs to speak and be accountable for their action. And it was with that motion that we were able to come together as a country and say, right, now that you've admitted what you've done, this is what we're going to do. There was an entire commission in which all apartheid police were given the opportunity to step forward, because what they did was kill us, and then they would diminish the body, or there was so much discourse, and there were just so much heinous crimes, and the families of those people never got closure. And because of that hatred was embedded on both sides, because I was never able to bury my father. You didn't give me that courtesy, and so I'm upset now, and it's going to be a civil war. And because of that, there was a desperate need for South Africa to find a stability and a balance. And so that commission came about, where the white people, the oppressive white people of the racist regime, had to step forward and say, this is what I did, and I'm sorry I did it. They were actual interviews where they had to speak. The facts were laid forth just like a court, but the difference was it wasn't sought to condemn. It was sought to bring about clarity and closure. And stability in the country. And so if America had something like that, you would be a lot more further. You know why? Because the white people would feel a lot less entitled. If they were forced to face and be accountable, they would feel a lot less entitled, which is what we've got happening in South Africa at the moment. And yes, you still get the oppressor here in South Africa as well, but their voice is not as loud anymore. It's not as loud, and it's not as crippling as it once was. And so I always talk about the TRC, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, because it did a lot for the narrative in the country. And that's what they need. White people need accountability, for Pete's sake. It can't just, but they want to be part of the culture that they oppress so much. They want to steal and appropriate that culture so much. But, it baffles me. The irony of a racist just completely baffles me. It's something that I will never understand.
I've intimately gotten to know it well, being in the South.
I mean, of course.
But I think it's one of those things where everybody really, for us, I think it's the capitalism issue versus community, because everybody here is trying to, like I said, you're born into the hustle. Like you owe money. It's time to start working. So what happens is people do what they feel like is going to be best for them individually. And I think racism is lucrative. Like racism will allow you to not go to college, not try hard, not have teeth, and then still be able to be a senator, right? Like that's what racism does for you, right? And meanwhile, the black person across the street, had to work 3 jobs to raise their kid. Their kid had to work 3 jobs since they were like 9. And then now they are in a position where they've gone to college. They've, gotten all these degrees. They've gotten some money, and they are on the same ballot as you, and they can't get the votes, right? That's how racism works. So I just feel like, the advantage that people have, if we had a level playing field, could you imagine a level playing field where black people and white people are based on basically what your own personal achievements and accolades are? It would be the Black Olympics out here.
I remember making a video like that. Exactly that. I said, just the irony of racism is really funny, because they want to claim superiority, but their superiority is based on constructing obstacles for all other races. And then you want to be the best runner in the world, but you've got to put hurdles in front of every other runner and say, well, I'm the best that came first. At what cost did you come first? If you leveled out the playing field, would you still come first in the race? And
let's add to that, because I always teach my students, America was created by people who had like very lofty ideas of what they thought freedom and independence and democracy looked like. And they were upset because the king was taxing them, right? It was white people who were upset because the king taxed their tea, right? So they threw the tea in the harbor and they had a fit. They had a riot. They started killing British people and they wanted to set up a new government. But everybody who was in that room setting up a new government, they had slaves. Everybody who was in the room setting up a new government, it wasn't all white people. It was the privileged, rich white people with education. Like, so they didn't design a system for everybody. And I think the saddest part about racism is a racist white man in Alabama probably has more in common with me than he does with the privileged white people that he's supporting.
That is factual evidence. That is
true. Wow, Pooh is really engaging. It says we just got to make it to the other side when judgment day comes. And then he says the world is exactly like that, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pooh, for joining us. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't do much for the mindset of a racist white person or a racist, but we can do enough about our mindset as a people. And I think that's what we should focus on. And that's where the work should be. Let's re-identify ourselves. Let's reconstruct our own narrative. Let's not wait for somebody to tell us what Black is. Can we tell ourselves what Black is? Can we acknowledge the power within ourselves? Don't seek validation anywhere else, but within our own as a collective. And that's what that's the ideal. That's what I would like to see. I would like to see when I have an issue or I have a discourse that is troubling me. I go to my brother Jesse and I say, brother, let's discuss this. When I don't go and ask anyone else, I say, brother, teach me about this. I go to Fred and I say, brother, help me with this. We need to hear from our own. It needs to be something like that. It needs to be a family that's rooted like that. That has strong roots. We know where the roots are. We've merely grown our branches elsewhere. We're still the same tree. The tree is still the same, and that's what we need to start getting. That's why no more petty arguments amongst ourselves. No more petty stereotypical bull dust amongst ourselves. You have an issue, talk to your brother about that issue. You talk to your brother about it. Finish and clap. That's what we say in South Africa, finish and clap.
Finish and clap. Wow.
Yeah.
I love it.
That means done and done. Finish and clap.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I mean, there's so much to unload here. And there's a lot I wanted to say, but I didn't want to interrupt. But like you said, when you have an issue, you go and seek someone. When you need some help, you go and seek someone like Michael. You're all the way in Nigeria. If you want something that's legal, you want something to do in Nigeria, and it has to do with anything legal in Nigeria, contact Brother Michael Prakuma.
Exactly.
And then, you can connect
a network of us.
Mm-hmm. Just the same way Jesse got a sister to design his book for him all the way in Nigeria and paid her a fair wage, double the price she actually quoted. That's how we network, and that's how the community.
Exactly. That's beautiful. That's exactly it. Oh, that's just so lovely. That makes
anyway,
me happy.
Michael's is a fan of yours. He says, have you ever considered joining the movie industry?
I thought that question was for me, Michael.
What was that question for? Exactly.
As for Yolanda, Jesse.
Have I considered the movie industry? I don't know. If it was a Black-owned company that made Black stories, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I have a Black-owned company, and I am working on getting the account together so that we can make Black stories. So holla at me in about 2 years.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I think that'll be amazing. That's just tell our stories, Jesse. Tell our stories.
Absolutely.
We have something to tell.
Anyway, Michael asked a question I wanted to comment on. Do you think that the Holy Bible and other religious books were designed to further enslave the Black race? Now, before I hand it over to Yoli, I wanted to talk about, we had a guest on, Professor Harry, who talked about Edward Blyden. And then there's no one more Pan-African than Edward Blyden. And if you haven't seen the book, Please go check it out. And he was.
What's the name of the book? I want to check it out.
Oh, okay. I'll let me just pull it up. I'll pull it up after I comment. But he was born in the Virgin Islands. Tried to come to school in Rutgers. Couldn't get into school in Rutgers. Moved to Liberia, and stayed in Liberia. That's when they had those enslaved had a chance to move back to Liberia. And he talks about stories about people trying to escape and, crying for people to come get them. Writing Edward Blyden to come get them from the Americas. And then he goes and, starts ministry, churches there, and, influence a lot of preachers over there. And he says he liked our form of worship because we had the drums. Now, other people were trying to say, no, the drums and all that wasn't good. But then, can you imagine Sunday worship without drums?
I was about to say, what kind of worship is that with no drums?
Exactly. So yeah, the word itself, me being a preacher, the word itself is not the problem. It's humans who took the word and turned it around for their own good, and you can use it for any evil thing, So it's not about the Bible; it's about the people behind it. And just a good example was in the First World War. The Germans a lot of them were in Togo, and Togo, from where my mom's from, is quite close to Togo. So the Germans would go all the way to the mountain, the Krobo Mountain, where my mom's from, and they'll go take signals. They'll be signaling their folks in Germany about what was going on, because Ghana back then was British. It was colonized by the British. So what happened is these guys got caught and were shipped back. But it turns out some of them were masquerading as missionaries. But we can't paint all of them. A lot of them we can't paint all of them as oppressive or evil people. But some of them came in with the guys to try to, win the war.
Yeah. I mean, I have an interesting perspective on that. Often, I always try to avoid these types of discussions because people get heated when it comes to religion debates, and so I always like to engage first with people that are open-minded, which is why I feel safe enough to engage with on this topic here. I have a very big problem with people that insist on calling religion given by the white man, as if Africans didn't know about God in the first place. That's the first thing. Africans have been worshiping an almighty since way before a colonizer came, way before. You can see it in our history. We even have, in every native African person has got a name for the almighty creator, a native name. In my language, it's called Unkulunkulu. That means bigger beyond bigger, the almighty, the source. And we've been praising that way before white men brought the religion, quote unquote. That's the first thing. The second thing is it's very, very easy to misquote scripture. That's been done for decades, mostly because the Bible is a translation in itself, and you can lose a lot in a translation. And also people can construct that narrative and reconstruct it a million times. That's point number 2. And my final point is this: living in South Africa, a multi-ethnic, multi-diverse, multi-denominational place in which Buddhist, Christian, Muslim exist completely together without any division. And I'll tell you why. This is the reason why. In South Africa, in my country specifically, it is very different from the West, in which the West likes to take labels and put things into categories. Religion, the term religion is an organized construct in which you put it into a box. You are Christian, you are Anglican, you are Jew, etc., etc. When you put things into a box, it is easy to label. It is easy to then oppress. And you can oppress a group of people nicely because you've put them in a box. That's number 1. In South Africa, that's not the discourse. We exist in entirety because we understand that it's less about the word religion and more about faith. What is your belief system? They don't ask us, what is your religion down here? They ask us, what is your belief system? What is it that you put your belief in? Where do you put your belief? Is it in Christ? Is it in Is it in African spirituality? That's how it's constructed here. And we understand, even when we can debate the how prevalent African discourse is, even within the Bible. I can debate that until the stars come home. I can tell you that it's been whitewashed completely. People are not able to actually see and synthesize the Bible for what it is because they're using it for their own gain. And once we can have those debates in which somebody can actually decipher exactly the genealogy of Jesus Christ himself, his pigments, and that's not being a Caucasian, blue-eyed, blonde person, he's the actual discourses in the Bible. If you can actually decipher that with me, you will see very clearly that white people cannot claim that religion as being anything to do with them. And that's what
let me get in. I love this point. All right. So I always think in the back of my mind that God exists somewhere and he's looking at all of us fighting over the ways in which we worship him. Right. So like there are many different doorways to get to God. And he never put one religion over another. He just said, here, just have a relationship. Right. And we spend all the time creating the division because we want to seem like we're more important in his eyes than someone else that he also made. Right. On top of that, I also have a perspective being from the West that this country was founded by the religious zealots and rejects of Europe, right? They were the ones who were getting oppressed, or at least their version of oppressed in Europe. And they said, I don't want to be here anymore because the queen's going to kill me, or the pope's going to kill me, or whoever's going to kill me. So I want to build my own society. And they came to this country that was already inhabited by indigenous communities and killed everybody and created the United States of America, right? And ever since that time, there's been wars. And whenever there's an issue that can't be explained or a military strategy that they want to implement but don't have a logical reason to do, they just throw the Bible in it, right? Like, so it's like, look, this is our right. This is our manifest destiny to be able to do. God ordained that this is what we do. And I think about it when I talk to my friends on the continent, because it sounds to me that Africa was where all the resources are, right? So what do you trade? How do you trade with somebody who has all the resources? What can you possibly give somebody who already has all the resources? Nothing, right? So what you do is you weaponize the one thing that you feel like you can get for that purpose. And if you can sell people on, I have a direct VIP red velvet rope access line to God, and you can only get it through me, but I'm going to need your rubies, I'm going to need your diamonds, I'm going to need your gold, but I'll make sure that you have it. Then it's the people who manipulate the religion in order to make it seem like their way is better to get all the resources that you have. It works both ways, regardless of what side of the ocean that you're on. When people want to do something, they use it. And I think the saddest part about this is that none of this was actually part of the creation of any of these religious texts. The religious texts weren't created to say, go out and kill these people. As a matter of fact, it says, thou shalt not kill. Like, that's the whole point. Exactly. So it does get manipulated by people who oftentimes don't bring anything else to the table, but want to have what you have.
Right.
All right.
I agree with that.
So Van Jeffrey said some bedtime stories. Talk about Queen Nzinga.
Oh my gosh. Talk about Queen who?
Nzinga.
Oh my gosh. I love Queen Nzinga. That's my favorite person to talk about.
So,
Queen Nzinga.
So this is the book I was talking about by Edward Blyden. That's the Amazon link. You could click on it and you get it. It's Edward Blyden's Intellectual Transformation, Afro-Publicism, Pan-Africanism, Islam, and an Indigenous West African Church. So we had back in the day a prophet roaming West Africa with a robe, and they call him the Black Elijah, and preaching the gospel. And and doing that. But then that is never mentioned. The credit's always given and to people who did not look like him, you know. But there are people like that who also preach the gospel, and the gospel is all about love. So where the other part of it came about, we don't know, but it came, you know, for selfish gain, and
that's all we've ever known God to be, love. That's all we've ever been taught at the pinnacle of that faith. It's God is love. Preach love, teach love. That's it. It's a simple thing. Those that have complicated it and they've added spice to it that just doesn't enter the mix. You can tell if you're in tune with your spirit. You can tell easily that at the pinnacle of human nature is love. You can tell because to do the opposite hurts. Like it's difficult. It's difficult to hate. That's why we had to be taught how to hate, because it's difficult. It even feels, you can actually feel ill. You don't feel good. That's because that's not your nature as a human being. It's simple. To me, it's very simple. But those that want to push their own agenda, they find their ways of doing it. They because they insert power into it, and they insert gain into it, and they insert greed into the pot now. And now it's difficult to do the one thing that is the easiest to do. Love.
And the other thing about hate is you need some sort of justification for the hate that you're disseminating. Yeah. So that's the other part. They manipulate it so that they can absolve themselves of the evil that they put out into the world as well.
That's it's easy to just shut it onto someone else and just and just use them as a scapegoat and say, well, you did that, therefore I'm entitled to feel like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So well, this has to end at some point.
Oh man, I didn't realize it's been an hour already.
It's an hour 10 minutes.
Quickest hour. That was quicker than last time.
It was quicker than last time, right? We have our trivia. I'm gonna let put it out there. Who is Queen Izinga? And then I'll let Jesse go for the second one. We have two questions today. If you could get them, they're a little tough. So if you could get them, you get an Amazon.
I expect Van to come through on that.
I think I'm putting it out there for 10 seconds before I let you answer it.
Oh, okay. I see.
So
I see.
A countdown.
It's like a contest. Oh, this is fun.
Countdown. All right, we're starting at 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, Michael, where'd you go?
They're still Googling.
Yeah, if you Google it, we got you. We got you. You can't do that in 10 seconds. So.
Don't cheat.
Okay, so who is?
I want to know if Jesse knows. Actually, I want to know.
Oh, I know. I know. I actually wrote a book. My first fiction novel was about young Nzinga, but so she was queen of, I think it was Angola at the time.
Yes.
And she actually fought the Portuguese. There's the story about how the Portuguese missionaries came in, or not missionaries, but soldiers came in, and she had an army that was ready to die for her, and one soldier who sat on the ground to be her seat while she discussed, I guess, treaties about, well, basically not treaties, telling them get out of my land or else you'll die.
Yeah, get out of my land.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. It's one of those inspiring stories because, as a Black woman, we don't hear enough about Black women with that much military power. The only narrative we've heard is very submissive, very, pretty, lady-like women. This woman was a bad mama jamma. She did not, and it's the amount of killing that she perpetuated. Not even just issuing out the decree, which is what I admire the most. It wasn't just it was, hey, I'm gonna do it first. I'm gonna shoot the first arrow. Who's joining me? It wasn't that, and that speaks to my Zulu nature, which is also a warrior nature. So I'm like, okay, Girl Queen Singer, and the amount of colonizers that left her land because of that.
Mm.
It's a testament to what we can do. And so that is a great bedtime story, actually, just to remind you how much power you have, how much force is behind your narrative, Black woman. You don't have to be docile and fold your hands. And that same attack that Queen Zinga had towards military leaders, have that attack in your own domain. Have that attack, go and pursue that job, go and pursue that knowledge, go and dominate that courtroom the same way she dominated that field. Go dominate corporate. It's the same. We can apply that same attack to anything. And I think that's what we can gain as a people, especially women who are the most disrespected, most marginalized people in society. The Black woman is the most disrespected in the West. And so when you echo a heroine like Queen Zinga, you remember who you are, and you say, actually, I don't have to take this. My ancestors didn't, and I won't. And it's like that.
Absolutely.
Front line in the war. Van Jaffet.
Yeah, I fight too. I fight with this. That's my weapon of choice, and they hate that. Ooh, they hate that.
Absolutely.
And then
So the second,
no.
Yeah, they're intimidated. So the second trivia question is: who was Sister Harriet Elizabeth McKinley? So this time we're not giving out.
I'm laughing because I do Black History posts every day for February, and this is one I posted.
How many seconds should we give them, Jesse? They're trying to people are Googling now, so let's start with the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nobody's bold today. Nobody wants to step out.
I don't know.
Yes. Sister McKinley. Now, this was a story I found in doing my Black History post. Shout out to my Facebook page. Check me out for my Black History post. But yes, Sister McKinley was one of the first escaped, formerly enslaved Black women who actually brought a court case in military court against a Union Army soldier who raped her in trying to escape. And she won. She won her case. Whoa. He was convicted. And for American history, this is a big deal because we all know there was sexual assault all throughout slavery, but Black people were considered property. So the woman wasn't given agency to be able to complain about any of these intrusions into her agency. And what happens is this case sets a standard that for every Union base that for every Confederate base conquered by the Union, they impose this military law that includes women being able to come forward and prosecute soldiers, be it Confederate soldiers or Union soldiers, for any sexual assault. It's all because of her. It's because of her. And it was actually deemed to be President Lincoln, who I've got my love-hate relationship with, but President Lincoln's crowning achievement, even more so than the Emancipation Proclamation. And so if you get a chance, look up the story. They've actually got excerpts of her trial. It's not the actual transcript, but they've got excerpts of quotes from the trial. And the guy ended up getting sentenced to 1 year of hard labor, and he got docked like 4 months of pay. It wasn't serious punishment, I mean, compared to what we would want him to have. Yeah. But you have to remember, in 1863, that's better than what anybody else had at that time.
Exactly.
Who was Black.
That's amazing.
All right. Wow.
That's a really good.
And if you like that story, look up Celia, Celia. Look her, you'll love her story. I don't know if the internet is going to allow me to tell. Again? Celia is Celia.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, look her up and then hit me up when you finish reading it. I don't think the internet is going to let me talk about all the stuff she did to the guy that got over on her. We probably get shut down. But he's awesome.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's lovely. I love that. Cool. Thank you for that. Thank you for those references. I can't wait to hear about it.
Cool. So
it's always good to have you on the show. I don't know how an hour passed that fast. Like
I can't believe it. That's weird. What sorcery is this? It didn't feel like an hour at all.
Yeah, it didn't. Well, okay, Ivan Jaffet, before we go, it says, oh, I completely forgot that it's Black History Month, and coincidence, the month of love. That's not a blasting hint about everything. Then I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. Black is love, of course.
Thanks, Van Jaffet.
Thank you, Jaffet.
Do you know Van? Do you know Van?
Yeah, I know Jaffet. He was here last week. Last week.
Oh, he's your friend. Yeah. You got in trouble with last week, right?
I hope he forgave me. You can't stand mad at me. Come on now.
Absolutely not. Well, I just want to thank you again for taking time out to come on the show. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I keep sending people your way. So if you don't clear 500K by this week, I don't know. I got to get back on my job, but I'm sending people your way.
What an amazing win that would be for us. 500K.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I'm sending people your way. So again, if you all aren't already, if you're on TikTok, you need to get on TikTok. Yes. If you are on TikTok or you're getting on today, like you should, make sure that she is the first person that you follow. That girl, Yoli, make sure that you put that in. Check out all the old videos. And go ahead and follow and make sure you get the newest videos that come out. They give them to you as soon as you log in. And then also, if you have not already liked our Instagram page, our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube, make sure you do that. Instagram page is the Pan-Africana Show. Facebook page, Pan-Africana, presented by Afriscope TV. Make sure that you follow us. And lastly, if you are a Black person anywhere on the planet and you have something that you want to say and you want to put it on the show, reach out to either Fred or myself. This is my handle here. Make sure that you reach out to us, let us know, and we'd be more than happy to talk to you and schedule some time for you to be on the show. We got a list of great people coming up for the next few weeks. So I hope you all are tuned in and excited. I hope that we can get Yolanda over 500K. Say it again. Also, I don't know if I need to do disclaimer because I already did the disclaimer last time she was on, but some of y'all didn't watch. When we give you Yolanda's handle, we're not giving this to you for you to be LaMelo Ball and pull up from half court and shoot shots. We're not trying to hear about eggplants going in DMs. We're not trying to hear about any of that. What we are trying to do is encourage networking respectfully. Okay. Now, if you talk to her and y'all got your own thing, that's different. But right now, please don't be that guy. Don't be that person. Like, oh yeah, I'm in Canada, eggplant. Don't do that.
Because Jesse's gonna come after you. Her big brother.
Yeah,
not just me. She got a team. She got a team. We working in shifts.
From all over Jasper, they're gonna kick your ass.
Cool. All right. So, and if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Pan-Africana, presented by Afriscope again. And then if you haven't got some T-shirts, now we found a way to ship it overseas. We're gonna be I'm gonna get Sister Yolanda's info and ship her one.
Yeah.
And then if you want to do so, you can always send us a PayPal or contact us, and we'll find a way to ship it wherever you are in the world. We'll ship it to you.
And we started putting up people's pictures in these shirts too, so you might get you a little internet spot. If you rock the shirt, we can put you on the Instagram page. So definitely tag us. Let us know.
Cool. So have a good day. Have a good weekend.
Yes.
Take care and bye.